A squat should be helping your knees, not hurting them. One of the #1 things that we see in working with squats is what's known as the knee squat. And Nick's gonna put the weights down to show you because you never wanna load poor form. A lot of students will squat by pushing forward into their knees, especially if they don't have great range of motion in the ankles or the hips. This causes a ton of pain, so knock it off. When you do a squat, you wanna make sure you sit the hips back and down. And the goal here, as the hips go back and down, notice the knees stay almost over their ankles as they do the whole entire squat. The second thing to pay attention to as you're squatting is what the spine's doing. Spine should always be in a neutral position. So you'll never sacrifice that neutral spine just to drop it down a little bit lower. Notice how Nick's spine is rounding, and they even are dropping at the bottom of that squat. So we want to keep time under tension and always have that straight spine. So depending on your range, the depth that you go down is going to be a lot different than your neighbor. The second thing to think about when you're squatting is that not many people have such great ankle mobility that they can squat with their toes facing forward. So you'll always get that cue to turn the toes slightly out, and you'll need to test the waters here. Depending on your ankle mobility, you might actually have to turn the toes out quite a bit. Depending on your ankle mobility, you may have to turn the toes out quite a bit. And that's not a beginner's mod, that's a modification that you tailor to your body based on your mobility. But probably the biggest issue with squatting is weak glutes. When we squat, the knees tend to cave in if the glutes are not very strong. So really think about, as you squat, using the outside of the hips to actively pull your knees open so the knees, wherever they're pointing, are always going on the same track as your toes. This is how you keep the squat out of your knees and really build strength in the glutes and the muscles of your legs. Once you have weight in the heels, toes turned slightly out, and a straight spine position, you're ready to start loading your squats. Some of the ways we do so is a front rack position. In the front rack, elbows are in nice and tight, and the weight just sets on the top of your shoulder. We may also do a goblet squat position with one weight or two, where you press the heels of the palms together around the button of the weight and hold the weight just out in front of your chest to add a little bit of load to the exercises we're doing. Sometimes you'll have suitcases or you'll add traditional weightlifting moves, but remember that the foundation of all of these activities is good form in a great squat.
Preview.